The Honorable Speaker, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers and Assistant Ministers, the Honorable Leader of Opposition, and Honorable Members of Parliament. A very good afternoon to you all, and Isa Bulavina. Honorable Speaker, at the outset, I acknowledge the landowners of the land where we gather here this afternoon, to the owners past, present, and future landowners. Honorable Speaker, I rise in support of the motion that is before this House, thanking His Excellency for his most gracious address on the opening of Parliament on the 16th of February 2026. Honorable Speaker, on the 16th of February 2026, we were reminded of who we are as a nation, our journey, our sovereignty, and our collective responsibility to protect what has been entrusted to us. As His Excellency rightly stated, and I quote, our national progress is grounded not only in policy and institutions, but in shared values, faith, compassion, respect, and service. His Excellency's words were thoughtful, measured, and grounded in the lived realities of our people. They were not merely ceremonial remarks. They were call to action, a reminder of the responsibilities we carry and the expectations our citizens place on us. His Excellency spoke with clarity about the challenges before us, but also with confidence in our collective ability to overcome them. Today, Honorable Speaker, I wish to expand on some of the things that he highlighted and to reaffirm our commitment to advancing the well-being of every Fijian. Honorable Speaker, in his address, His Excellency reminded the nation that our Constitution as the supreme law of Fiji must remain a living document. It must not be static, nor confined to the circumstances of the past. Instead, it must evolve, adapt, and reflect the aspirations, values, and lived realities of our people today. Government has therefore commenced a responsible and principled review of the 2030 Constitution. This process, Honorable Speaker, began in this House and is not driven by politics, nor by narrow interests, but by a commitment on this government to democratic constitutionalism, good governance, and a respect for the rule of law. His Excellency made it clear that constitutional governance must strengthen national unity, protect fundamental rights, and uphold the sovereignty of the people of Fiji. Central to this review, Honorable Speaker, is the conviction that the Constitution belongs to the people, and so the people must be at the heart of its renewal. His Excellency emphasized that meaningful public participation will guide this process. Government is committed to ensuring that the voices of all Fijians across communities, generations, and regions are heard, respected, and reflected in the outcomes. This will be achieved through structured consultations, expert engagement, and transparent dialogue. The review will not be rushed, nor will it be conducted behind closed doors. Instead, it will be open, inclusive, and grounded in a broad-based consensus. This approach is essential to reinforcing public confidence in the constitutional framework that underpins our democratic institutions. His Excellency also reaffirmed that any constitution amendment bill, like all other bills, will be made public and will undergo extensive consultation. There will be robust debate, public scrutiny, and opportunities for input before any proposal is tabled before this House. Honorable Speaker, in advancing this process, government remains guided by the national interest and by a shared determination to secure a constitutional order that supports peace, prosperity, and unity for present and future generations. This is not merely a legal exercise. It is a nation-building endeavor. It is an opportunity to strengthen our democracy, deepen our unity, and ensure that the supreme law of our land truly reflects who we are and who we aspire to become. His Excellency also highlighted the rising cost of living, driven by global shocks and economic pressures beyond our control. These pressures affect every Fijian, from market vendors and farmers to workers, students, and even retirees. While we cannot control global events, we can control how we respond to them. The coalition government will ensure that our policies provide relief where it is most needed, protect the vulnerable households, and strengthen resilience. Honorable Speaker, Fiji faces a complex and unstable global landscape marked by instability and widespread uncertainty. Across multiple regions, interconnected crises poses significant threats to global, regional, and national stability. Therefore, we must ensure that our capabilities and readiness are up to par. From the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs, Honorable Speaker, the National Security Strategy 2025-2029 emphasizes on the safeguarding of our maritime boundaries and preserving our natural resources within our EEZ. Thus, strengthening maritime awareness, improving lift capacity, and maintaining operational readiness are practical necessities. This is not about prestige or display. This is about safeguarding our sovereignty. It is about ensuring that Fiji can act in its own interest, protect our people, and provide regional and global response as and when required. Honorable Speaker, Fiji is a maritime nation. Our ocean space is vast and porous, but precious to our daily lives. Therefore, our security begins at sea. The Republic of Fiji Military Forces Naval Division continues its work quietly and consistently, patrolling our waters, supporting law enforcement, protecting our Ngolingoli, and working with our regional partners to strengthen our maritime domain awareness to address maritime illegal activities and emerging threats. Their dedication ensures that our waters remain safe, our sovereignty is respected, and that our communities can live sustainably through the sea. To ensure our maritime resources are safeguarded, the Ministry is currently in the phase of developing Fiji's first ever maritime security strategy. The strategy represents a shift from ad hoc responses towards a coordinated, whole of government and whole of society approach to maritime security. As rightly stated by His Excellency, structured partnerships can help mobile resources. The Maritime Security Strategy is intended to provide clear direction, shared priorities, and practical mechanisms for defense, law enforcement, border security, fisheries, customs, environmental protection, and disaster response. Furthermore, Honorable Speaker, maritime security is closely connected to disaster response. When disasters strike and our islands and maritime communities are cut off, it is our vessels and personnel who are first on the scene. Therefore, building stronger logistic networks, forward operating capabilities, and rapid deployment system is no longer theoretical, but a requirement for operational effectiveness. It is a service in its purest form. Honorable Speaker, whilst the Pacific nations are navigating complex geostrategic dynamics, the Ministry of Defense will continue to work closely with our Pacific neighbors in the spirit of cooperation, partnership, and mutual respect. We reaffirm our commitment to implementing the Pacific vision of our region as the ocean of peace. This is not simply a statement. It is a principle that guides our engagement, our regional and global initiatives. Our partnerships strengthen interoperability, ensure shared security, and demonstrate the values that Fiji stands for. I also wish to acknowledge and thank our peacekeepers, Honorable Speaker, who are currently serving or has returned from tour of duty overseas. Across the globe, they carry the flag of Fiji with professionalism, with pride, discipline, and honor. As His Excellency rightfully stated, and I quote, "Their contributions remind us that nationhood is sustained as much by character and service as it is by institutions," unquote. Their service, Honorable Speaker, reflects the values that define our nation: courage, commitment, and respect for human dignity. They are a source of pride for all Fijians. The commitment to maintaining peace, strengthening defense relationships, and cooperation not only enhances Fiji's global peacekeeping footprint, but showcasing our tradition, culture, and values. Honorable Speaker, we must also continue to support our veterans here at home. Their contribution to our nation does not end when their active service comes to an end. They are mentors, community leaders, and living examples of service. Supporting them is a responsibility we owe not only as a nation, but as a government that respects sacrifice and service. Honorable Speaker, our veterans have truly served our country in dedication, dignity, and respect. These veterans, in recognition of their duty of service, have ensured stability, economic growth to building a better community and nation. Their key roles as veterans serves to promote discipline, support our current serving Fijian soldiers, and a supportive foundation of military service in ensuring national security and national resilience. Honorable Speaker, as we approach an election year, I wish to reaffirm to this House and most importantly to the people of Fiji that the Republic of Fiji military forces remain fully committed to the Constitution and civilian authority. Stability, discipline, and respect for the rule of law are non-negotiable. Our commitment is unwavering, and our role is clear: to serve with integrity, professionalism, and dedication. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, we are reminded by His Excellency's address that Fiji's strength lies in its unity. Our diversity of cultures, languages, traditions, and identities is not a weakness. It is a source of resilience and pride. He urged us to work together across political lines to build a Fiji that is stable. It means shared purpose. It means putting the nation above personal or political interest. Honorable Speaker, His Excellency's call for unity is timely. In a world marked by division and uncertainty, we must remain anchored in solidarity, respect, and cooperation for the betterment of our beloved country. On that note, Honorable Speaker, I once again thank His Excellency for his most gracious address, and I thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to speak on the motion by the Honorable Prime Minister. Nawali Sak.
Yeah.